Oh my God, it's Monday. Button pushing mania. Oh my God. Well, what is going on with this? What is this weird? Oh, this is weird because of that. Oh, shit. Oh my God! Why is the chat small? Can we make it bigger? How do we make it bigger? How do we make it thicker? Oh, button pushing. Oh, I gotta get in the green room. Oh, Lord. Am I even in the right this? Oh, I'm in the right this way. Good. Where's the fucking green room? There it is. Okay, there it is. Gotta get in the green room. Okay, there we go. I'm in the green room. I'm in the green room late because I'm supposed to push the button. Boom, there we go. What's up? What up, everybody? It is Monday. April 7th. 2025ard. How are you doing? It is Monday. It's Monday. It's Monday the 7th of April, everybody. Oh, are you excited? Are you excited for another long live stream? I don't even know what's going on with this thing today. There we go. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Will we figure it out if this is weird? Ooh, it's weird. I feel like it used to go lower, but now it's not going lower. It used to go lower. I don't feel like it's going lower like it used to. It used to go low. It used to go low and slow, like when you braise a side of beef. You make some braised beef. Which, believe it or not, your boy, this guy, had some delicious Mexican-style braised beef last Tuesday. Amazing stuff. I stopped by, what's the name of that restaurant? Let's find it. La Fonda. Blah, 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 blah. This one. Fonda La Catrina. Share. Can I copy? Yeah. There. Copy that link. If anybody wondering, there you go. Am I buffering again? Jesus Christ. Are we in the buffer zone? Once again. Are we buffering for real? All right, we'll check it. I'm going to check it. I'm going to see what's going on here. Let's check. Me, my channel. Where am I? The F is my channel. You. That's me. This channel. Button push. I don't know. We'll see. Are we in the buffer zone? It doesn't seem like we're buffering. Although I do not like that. Buffering for real? I don't like that. I don't like the little hiss in the audio, but you know, There's not much I can do about that while I'm live. I don't like the audio mix, but what are we gonna do with that little hiss? I think the little hiss has everything to do with my board, my mixer board. It's an old Behringer, and I believe it adds that hiss of background, which there ain't much to do about it right now because we're not about to be ordering another mixing board. You know what I mean? We're not gonna do that. Anyhow. I went to Fonda la Cantrina. The hell? Fonda la Catrina. Yes, there we go. It's a weird name, but whatever. I got a braised beef special there. They were doing like braised beef on the bone. And yeah, quite good. Worthwhile stopping. I stopped there on the way home for a late dinner with a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a long time. And for those of you wondering, 'twas a dude, okay? Before you start some bullshit rumors, okay? Stopped to see my boy Sean, otherwise known as Grunther. And it was great to catch up with him and have a little two dudes having dinner together. You know, two boys, just two of the boys having some fine Mexican eats. Do I give it a 10 out of 10? No, I give it a solid 7.3 out of 10 because the atmosphere was it was a little cold in there. They're pretty reliant on their patio to be a big part of their business, I believe. That seems to be the case from being there. It's not the only time I've ever been there. And they didn't have it quite cut off from the exterior patio as well as you would like. Food was good. I feel like the chips need some work. Like, those really thick, like somebody made handmade tortillas and they're just frying up the old handmade tortillas. I'm not a huge fan of that. But the guac was good. The salsa was good. The dinner was quite good. And, yeah. But if you're in the Seattle area down there by Airport Way in Georgetown, it's a cool part of town. It's a cool kid part of town. You want to hang out with the fucking cool kids, go down there to old Georgetown in Seattle and hang out with some of the cool kids. Get tattooed maybe. I don't know. Get some tattoos and some body jewelry. You know, get your nips pierced and do all sorts of weird stuff down there.
Really good pizza.
Holy shit. We have a caller on line 1. Oh, my God. What are you doing on line 1?
I'm on the only line there is.
Oh, that's not the only line there is.
All right, true.
What's up, dude? What are you doing?
Waiting for AAA.
Waiting for AAA for...
Heloma, a jump start.
For a jump start. Oh, I got it.
The trickle charger has trickle charged 24 hours with no joy.
Is the battery kaput?
I think it's the trickle charger that is shit, not the battery. So...
I figure it should have done something by now.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah.
This is why everyone should have a
battery maintainer.
No.
Garage.
God, what the fuck just happened here? I did that and then I did this.
Now it's all loud.
What?
Oh, our connection sounds like there's rushing water behind us, but that's...
Yeah, it's a dehumidifier. It's dehumidifying.
Oh, well, there is rushing water then. Rushing into the sponge. Okay.
If you click on this link and buy something, we get... What do you call it? We get a commission. But everyone should own one of these. If you own a car or a house or anything, you own anything, you should own one of these. Because you can actually test and find out what the fuck is going on.
Voltage meter.
Multimeter, not a voltage meter. Multimeter.
I have one of those.
Yeah.
But it wasn't worth digging out when I could just call AAA.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could just call somebody. Yeah, we had a interesting week. I got to go out to dinner. Dinner with my boy last week. Oh, somebody bought something off the internet.
Yes, I did.
We got to check. We got to check here if anybody bought a vibrator. Nope.
It's not a vibrator.
No vibrators. People, they bought bio balls. They bought media bags. They bought a pump. Wonder what kind of pump it is. Is it a butt pump? Who knows? Oh, no, it's an aquarium pump. It's a Jabao aquarium pump. I use these all the time, by the way. The most affordable they work well, and if they ever do break down, they're affordable enough that you just buy a new one. It's really what it boils down to. But that's probably going to change pretty soon because something we're going to talk about later. But right now, we got to get caught up on the current events of the life. And the first thing that we need to talk about, every single person on the earth we need to talk about right now is this goddamn Minecraft movie. And I say that with a smile on my face because what a wonderful movie. What a wonderful movie. There are many, 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 many artistic choices that I would have made differently. But a totally fun movie. Great to take your kids. Exciting. Just a whole bunch of shit going on. They paid tribute to Technoblade. They paid tribute to everything that you basically would have wanted to. Yeah, I got to tell you, 100% worth going to see it. If you don't want to go to the movie theater, I feel you. We had some gift certificates that we had to spend up and spend out. But it is pretty expensive to go to the movie theater nowadays with 3 people, and then you get some popcorn and you have to buy some water or whatever. Even the gal that worked at the concessions, I was like, $28, and she's like, yeah, I know. But she said, if you guys go to the dollar store or whatever, before you come here, we really don't care. We're not really enforcing that anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, I feel you.
Well, there are still dollar stores to go to.
But yeah, it was like Jack Black and Jason Momoa were the 2 main big stars in it. I feel like the one questionable part was Jack Black, honestly. That's the one little questionable part that I had with the whole movie. It was just like a strange choice, and they sort of had him just playing Jack Black. That's the one downside. But to be honest with you, nobody really knows who Steve is, right? So maybe Steve is actually just a Jack Black weirdo. So I guess it doesn't matter, right? Because there is no real lore around the Minecraft guy, Steve. So don't worry yourself over that too much. How do I have everything plugged in over here? All right, well, fuck. So I'm trying to plug this in. I was trying to seamlessly plug this in during the show and no one would notice. But I need USB-C, not USB-A. USB-A's are all full over here. Oh, there's one in the back. There's one way back here in the back. Oh, shit. I gotta turn this around. We gotta turn the show around. Anyhow, Took the daughter. Was a lot of fun. We didn't have a chance to go to the earlier showing, so we actually ended up going to the 7 o'clock showing. It's about 2 hours long, but like I said, I think the only weird choice was like sort of letting Jack Black play Jack Black, as opposed to like, hey, you're Steve, the Minecraft guy, but he's pretty much just Jack Black, the Minecraft guy who happens to be named Steve. So, you know, am I a fan of Jack Black? Yes, but it's like these days it's really small doses, because I feel like in his youth he was like, he had the ability to go over the top, but he wasn't leaning on it all the time. And now in his older age, he seems to be leaning on going over the top a lot, you know, like this is too animated of a response right now. So that was the only kind of like one real critique I had of it, but otherwise, just a wonderful movie. It was a lot of fun. It was a great fun movie to go see with the kids. Olivia was entertained the whole entire time. She dressed up as a bee. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Minecraft, but Minecraft has bees in it, honeybees. So she wore a head-to-toe bee outfit with antenna, stripes, wings, bee wings. She had bee wings on. Yeah, she was a honeybee head to toe.
Is it square?
She's not square, but she has a honeybee that is a Minecraft bee that is square.
Yes, I knew she's not.
She is not square. But there are many calls to whether something is square or round in the movie. Like the Minecraft people can't figure out squares versus circles. So yeah, it was quite good. I would say it was fun. They definitely left out, and it took a strange path. It took a strange path that I wouldn't have expected. So that's cool. I mean, it's cool that it took a path that I wouldn't have expected, but it also, like, I feel like they left out a bunch of opportunity for sort of like exploring the Minecraft universe, but they made the movie in a way that it will be really, 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 really easy to make another one, essentially, and not have to lean on like, oh, Jack Black's in it, Jason Momoa's in it, these other actors are in it. You won't need any of them. So that's a definite upside that I think was a smart decision. I think, was it Disney that made it? Who the fuck made the Minecraft movie? Let's see.
I love seeing Jason Momoa do comedy.
Oh, he's just by the way, if you ever see this movie, he is an absolute loser. His character is like absolute bottom of the barrel loser. Just so you know, going into it.
The fluffy hair was sort of the giveaway.
Jared Hess. What's that?
Said the fluffy hair was sort of the giveaway.
Yeah, he plays a guy who peaked in 1988. I'll put it that way. A Minecraft movie is a 2025 fantasy adventure comedy film based on the 2011 video game by Mojang Studios. It was directed by Jared Hess, written by Chris Bowman, Hubble Palmer, Neil Widener, Gavin James, and Chris Gaeta. Okay, there's just like too many writers, I think. Who made it? The most recent example came over the weekend with the Minecraft movie, which was made in partnership with Warner Brothers. Okay. The film sold an astounding 157 million in tickets in North America from Friday through Sunday, which makes sense because it wasn't even really necessarily on our radar to even go to it. I just kind of brought it up yesterday. It was like, hey, wait, that Minecraft movie is out. And Vicky's like, we're not doing anything. Let's go to the Minecraft movie. Like, okay, let's go to the Minecraft movie. So we ended up going, and it was, like I said, very fun movie. Very fun movie. Very good. Like I said, there are things that I would have done differently, but that's not important in this example of cinematic, in this example of cinema, I guess would be the right way to put it. It just really was like, I wouldn't have done it that way, but who cares? It just doesn't, it just didn't matter. It was like, oh, I would have done it differently, but it didn't matter. It's not like this was wrong or the continuity was incorrect or the sound sucked or the visuals were wrong or any of that kind of crap. It was functionally like just good, fun. It followed. You could track it. There was stuff in there for adults. There was stuff in there for kids. There was stuff in there that just like Olivia's 6 just did not even register. So it sort of played into that old 80s style movie, like the 80s style Muppet movies, right? That have the like jokes for the parents. So pretty good. But like I said, they left it like 100%. You could just make a different Minecraft movie, and you could just do another Minecraft movie. Yeah. So, and it's pretty successful at 157 million in the first weekend. And I guarantee you this movie will be big for streaming too. It will be big for streaming. Like a lot of kids are going to be watching this. It's going to do well.
Over and over.
Let's see, 157 million, and you are 340, 360 in total. Oh yeah, it sold 157 million in tickets, which is big. And honestly, we are seeing with some of the films getting released into theaters, some movies are doing big ticket sales again, and there does seem to be a world where, not to say that like movie theaters are going to come back 100% or anything like that, but there was a point in time where I was really starting to think that like a lot of these companies are going to figure out how to just get rid of the theaters altogether. And it seemed to be a thing that they were really, really gunning for, especially with, COVID and being able to say that like, well, the pandemic is what really did us in, and it's like, it's not the pandemic. It's that you're not marketing. They really aren't marketing the movie experience. This is my opinion. They aren't marketing the movie experience like they did when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was like, you really want to go see this movie in the theater, right? Like Jurassic Park, right? There was no, you could get it on video. You could watch movies at home. That was not the issue. I'm not 1,000 years old. Calm your fucking shit down, guys. You could get the DVD or the Laserdisc or the whatever the fuck it was when it came out. But it was marketed like Christmas, Jurassic Park. This is the movie that's coming out. You got to go see it before other people see it, right? There was more of a like, you got to see this before somebody fucking spoils it for you when they tell you about it at work, right? Amongst many other pressures of like, it's fun to take your family to go to the theater. It's fun to go get the popcorn. You're in a room. You're not doing anything else, right? Like that is a distinctly different experience from the day-to-day that I think most people have in the year 2025. You're an asshole if you got your phone out. You're a complete fucking piece of shit that might get fucking popcorn thrown at you if you're like on your phone during a movie these days. It's a wonderful experience, and I've talked about this before that like I was really worried that this thing would go away, right? There's a lot of things that have disappeared from when I was a kid, right? Like, that just is a reality, right? But it's like something like going to see a film in the theater. I was really worried that like Olivia would not be able to experience that. And it really is like when I take Olivia, you really do see the like the immersive nature of the lights are out in here. You have your own chair. You're sitting down. You're watching what's going on. The sound is always great in theaters, unless it's like a really shitty one. But, you know, like the sound is really good. Obviously, the screen is huge. That kind of goes without saying. But I think the bigger thing is that you are really functionally like, this is the thing we're doing. This is what's happening. You're not getting any phone calls. You're not watching something and listening to something and doing this, and then people coming in and people coming out and doing all this kind of stuff. So I just think it's an experience that I would have been really, really, really upset had it disappeared. And it is encouraging to me that it seems like the cinema will continue on for at least a few more years. You know, it's not going away right away. Which it was really starting to feel that way. It was really starting to feel that way with all the streaming services and shit like that. But, you know. So the Minecraft movie was really good. I was, air quote, sick last week. I thought I had an extreme case of pink eye. It turns out I did not have pink eye. The doctor was like, nope, you just got something that really irritated your eye.
Yay.
You know, he did the swab and then he did the black light test, you know, and he's like, you got stuff in your eye. You got something in your eye. And my guess would be, if I had to wager, it's probably drywall dust. Probably somehow got a bunch of drywall dust in my eye and it just irritated the shit out of it. So, we skirted around the pink eye situation. Olivia was not feeling well again this morning, so we spent fucking 5 hours in urgent care this morning, which is turning today into one of those days where it's like, get up, take a shower, get dressed, go to urgent care, and then get home, and the day is like fucking 70% gone, you know. But it is what it is. You got to be a dad. You got to be a parent. And the fact that she was feeling sick again last week, we thought she had maybe some kind of food poisoning or maybe like a viral stomach bug or something like that, because she was like throwing up and pooping, you know, and there seemed to be a resurgence of that this morning, which is weird after not having it for 2 days. So it's making us quite worried. But we got her tested and saw what was going on, and ultrasound and all this crap, and it seems like she's doing all right. R. Gilroy says, based off the title of your video stream, I've lost half of my 401k over this weekend. Tell me why this is a good thing the president is doing. I think this is a horrific thing that the president is doing. I think it is, he's trying to act like a fucking dictator. He thinks he's in charge of the world. And I honestly think he thinks he's in a TV show. I think that his brain is so fucking rotten that he thinks he's in his own version of The Truman Show. You remember The Truman Show with Jim Carrey? Mm-hmm. I think that he thinks he's in his own version of The Truman Show. His brain is probably going to fall out of his ear very soon. I don't agree with any of this shit. What did I put into the title of my stream that would make somebody think that I'm a fan of Donald Trump and this fucking nonsense piece of shit garbage crap these people are doing? They're fucking picking people up off the streets, not even bringing them into a fucking judge and shipping them off to Salvador into fucking slave labor. Fuck this guy. All right? If anybody thinks I have an ounce of respect for Donald Trump, I would like you to quash that out of your mind. I 100% believe that he should be impeached and jailed for these crimes. But the Supreme Court has said that, they can just do whatever they want now. So, it kind of starts at the top, right? Where the hell's my description? Oh, edit. Here it is. I have to push the edit button. In my description, I wrote, the markets have crashed again, but this time it's no accident. Fueled by the reckless ambition of a wannabe dictator-in-chief, America's economic stability has shattered, and the ripple effects are being felt across the globe. I don't think that that's a description that I agree with the fucking bullshit, okay? So we'll definitely get to that point. I wanted to highlight some of the positive updates of my neck of the woods before we got into talking shit about the orange baboon and all of his little fucking crony. I don't even know how to describe these pieces of shit.
Lampreys.
All he cares about is ratings. That's right. Fauci. There's actually an interview with Fauci who was actually candidly talking about the crap that Trump was pulling in his last administration with how he was doing those debriefings every day. It's like the shit where he's talking about how, maybe people should inject themselves with bleach or shine a light up their ass and it will cure them of COVID or whatever. And Fauci had came out and had said all this stuff, and he just expected to get yelled at by Trump again, by the way, which was his takeaway was like this guy was just basically yelling all the time and acting like a fucking maniac. But at the time, Trump was just super excited about the ratings of the debriefings during a global pandemic, right? And it's just the absurdity of this, that this guy got reelected, is really the thing that shocks me, is that there is a percentage of Americans that have self-appointedly just joined up and are just in a cult, right? And it's one of those things that people have talked about this a number of times, is that the Americans that are, air quote, on the left. Now, you guys know that I definitely describe myself as a leftist, as a democratic socialist. I don't even know what the fuck you guys want to put a label on me. I don't care. But I'll tell you this much. I don't vote for Republicans, and I don't agree with conservatives on 90% of the shit that they talk about. The 10% of the shit that I agree with is them go like, family is everything. But then they immediately follow up that statement with actions that contradict that statement. So I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about here, right? But I agree with a lot of conservatives on certain things when they talk about freedom of speech. I believe that we should have freedom of speech. I believe that we should 100% have state-funded versions of TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all this shit. If we're going to have these platforms, we should have state-funded ones that are actually protect people's freedom of speech. And one of the big reasons for that is that they go like, oh, well, it's a private company, so a private company can say what you want to put up on there or not. And you're like, okay, cool. All right. Well, let's see how well your opinions do in a place where freedom of speech is actually real, right? Where you are allowed to just post whatever you want, and you won't lose advertising, you won't get demonetized, you won't get kicked off because of terms of service or anything like that. If you want to actually have a town square, then why don't we fund a town square with our tax dollars, right? And currently, we have to build more drones so that we could drop bombs on Yemen, right? And that's where our tax dollars go, okay? Our tax dollars go to more fucking warfare every year. And I'm tired of having this conversation because we've been having this conversation for 40 fucking years where they go, I don't know, maybe we should tap into Social Security. You know what we should do? We have too many mailmen. We have too many postal service workers. So, we should fire some of those guys. So, oh shit, you know what? we have too many Forest Service guys. We have too many of them. Let's go ahead and fire some of those guys. Well, you know, we have too many scientists working on figuring out skin diseases. You know what we should do? We should fire those guys. But with the drone bombing, the drone strike guys, you know what we should do? We should write them an open-ended check and just let them spend whatever the fuck they want. They'll never pass an audit, right? They'll never pass an audit. The money just disappears into fucking contractors' pockets, who, by the way, are more often than not committing fucking war crimes overseas, but they don't have to abide by the rules that our fucking U.S. military does, because they're private contractors, right? You go, oh, who are these private contractors operating in I don't know, let's pick a country here. What's a country other than Yemen?
Sudan.
We have private contractors operating in Sudan. Somehow 80 people show up dead. And you go like, okay, was this the U.S. military? It's like, oh, no, it wasn't the U.S. military. It was guys that were trained by the U.S. military, but they're no longer in the U.S. military. And so now we hire them as a private contractor and then send them over there to fucking murder people on behalf of the U.S. government, but they just don't have an American patch on their sleeve anymore. And so when it comes time to do a military tribunal on them and put them into fucking jail, we can't, because they're, air quote, private contractors just operating autonomously throughout the world. But yeah, so it's like when it comes down to these things that like conservatives supposedly talk about that they think are the most important thing in the world, like, I don't know, the Second Amendment, and I say, hey, with the Second Amendment, you know what we should do? We should take our tax money and give everybody fucking guns. We should use tax money to buy guns for all of the Americans and give them all guns. If that's what the Second Amendment supposedly says, right? Why don't we give them all guns? Why don't we have tax-paid gun ranges so that people can go train with their guns, so they can be a militia, like it says, right? A well-trained militia, not ones that just have the tools, the ones that know how to use the tools and have access to the tools and the ability to use the tools, right?
We just gave Mel Gibson his gun back. Why not give everyone else a gun?
Right. But then the reality is, when you talk to conservatives about that, then they go, oh, well, a bunch of people that I don't like will end up having guns. And then you go like, oh, so are we supposed to regulate where the guns go? No. We just don't want poor people to have guns, is what essentially boils down to, right? They want to be able to have the upper hand of having 38 rifles, 14 handguns, and 36 semi-automatics in their basement and their little bunker, right? Yeah.
Right.
R. Gilroy says, careful, free speech means tolerance of intolerance. You have to accept the right people to have to spew hate or false truths, but hey, free speech. I've entered into the social contract that I am not tolerant of intolerance. And it's part of being part of a society, right? And it's a base understanding that, like, if my neighbors aren't doing well, I'm not going to do well. If there are sick people that can't get treatment, it'll ultimately become a burden on society. If the roads don't operate, it'll be a burden on society. If power and water and all of these things aren't delivered through the community trust of taxation, right? Because the community itself, and when I say that, it includes the 350 million other people in this fucking country as the community, right? To supply these things for an improvement of the base standard of living, right? I recently saw an interview where somebody was talking about how categorically amazing it is in the United States that you turn on a faucet and just clean water just comes out, right? And you don't even think about it. Probably because you don't live in Flint, Michigan. I understand. But 99.9% of the country, you turn on a faucet and clean water comes out of it. I will tell you, when we were in Peru, we saw how they pumped water directly out of the Amazon River, and it just went into a pipe towards the city. And you're like, does that go to a plant? And they're like, no. It goes to a settling pond. And you're like, don't drink that water. Got it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Which I think one of the reasons I got sick when I was in Peru is because you shower in that water too, right? So it's like, you take a shower and you wash yourself off, but then you rinse yourself with dirty water, right? Because you have the soap on, and then you have to rinse the soap off. Right.
Escape from.
So then you rinse yourself with what probably it's water that probably has some level content of doo-doo in it. Doo-doo water, right? Hold on, I don't want to mince words here. Shit and piss and bacteria from the shit and piss is in that water, right? Then it continues to rinse yourself off. So I think probably the only place, we stayed at a hotel for like 2 days. Probably the only place to safely swim was their swimming pool, because I think it was about 40% bleach. I'm not 100%. I mean, it was like it was like chlorinated, you know, like this water is chlorinated, you know. Like you weren't sunburned after swimming in the pool. You were probably chlorine burned. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're a little pink, but that's okay. It's just the sun. Don't worry about that. And it's like, but the pool's in the shade right now. The fuck am I a little pink for? You're like, all right, we'll be fine. Then you go rinse that off with the doo-doo water, you know, with a percentage of shit and piss in that water that you would probably not be happy with in the States, right? But anyhow, my reason for bringing that up all just boils back to like we collect taxes so that collectively the society can help raise the minimum living standard, right?
Yep.
And we've been doing that, and it's a struggle because, and when I say this, I hope that conservatives are fucking super offended, but it's because of people like me. We have reached where we're at now. Like people that are willing to solve problems, do things, work together with other people, right? That's how we've gotten here. And yet at every corner, at every instance in the history of this country, people like me have had to fight against the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, the fucking evangelical church that is consistently fueling these people's hatred for, air quote, the other. And it's an ever-shifting target, right? It started out as the Native Americans. Then it became fucking blacks, right? Then it was, oh, it's the Chinaman. Oh, then it becomes, oh, maybe it's the Jew, but it's still the blacks. It's just anything that we don't consider to be like lily white, right? And it has been going on for far too long, you know? Cory Booker got up and spoke for 25 hours about
Absolutely amazing.
About this shit, only to beat I think the only reason he did it was to beat Strom Thurmond's record. And if anybody's familiar with Strom Thurmond and why he got up and spoke for 24 fucking hours straight, it was to stop the vote on civil rights. Okay? And this is modern day Republican Party. That's the moment you can look back to when the party shifted. The Dixiecrats from the South went with Strom Thurmond, who spoke for 24 hours straight in Congress. The Dixiecrats of the South sided with him to go over to the Republican Party, and it eventually just became concrete form when Ronald Reagan took office in 1980, right? And at every turn, at every single turn in this country's history, we've been battling against these people. They don't learn from their mistakes. They don't care about learning. They don't care about other people. They only care about themselves. They're selfish pricks, right? You got a fucking jacked up pickup truck with American flags and eagles all over it. Then meanwhile, you're running grandma off the road, you know? You'd sell your grandma off to fucking whatever slave camp in fucking Uganda or whatever, right? And it's disgusting. And I'm disgusted by it, you know, frankly. I'm frankly disgusted by it. This last weekend, we actually saw something of people going marching and marching against this extreme turn towards a fucking the oligarch class putting a dictator in, which, by the way, these are all the same people that want some imaginary strongman to handle all the problems for them, right? These are all those same people. You want your pastor to solve all the problems for you in town. Oh, don't worry, the church is taking care of the poor. Meanwhile, the church ain't doing shit except embezzling money, right?
These are the people that when I lived in Missouri and started having health issues said, you should just go on disability and get a check every month like I do. You don't need to fix it and work. Just go get on. They'll send you whatever you need.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, Republican values, rah, rah, rah. No, you know, all the rest of the bullshit.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's been the entirety of my life. And here we are, where we have a fucking TV guy. Because those same people watched a guy on TV, right? Like, Donald Trump only has money because he had a TV show, right?
Right.
Seriously, if you look at his financial history, he was basically bankrupt again for like the fucking sixth time. And and the only way that he got out of debt was that he made money from being on a TV show.
Yep, and that's the only success he's ever had is that. Well, in producing idiot children. Actually, that's not completely true. I think Ivanka's probably smart, but the boys certainly aren't.
Well, that's the reason why she's not around anymore.
Oh, that reason is she's got 2 teenage daughters. Would you put your teenage daughters around your daddy if he was Donald Trump? No.
I mean, considering he's like talked about wanting to date his daughter, I mean, you know.
Exactly. That's why we're only seeing Jared this time around. Anyway, sorry. Moving on.
Our Gilroy says he doesn't have money. He does have money at this point. Yes, he does. Yes, he bankrupted every business that he started. 100%. I mean, maybe not every single one of them. It's hard to say with the storied past of, like when he owned the laundromats that his dad gave him. I don't know if they went bankrupt. It's hard to say. But he bankrupt. There is no business that he started that is a business that exists now, right? Like Trump University, Trump Steaks, Trump Airlines. None of this shit went anywhere, right? But he basically like had he was running out of money until he got the TV show. And if you look at how much he was earning over the years while he had the TV show, which is another reason why, people have told me over the years, they're like, you're just fucking jealous of people that are doing well. And it's like, I don't even know if jealousy is the right word to put it, or the right way to put it. And it might be jealous. It might be just jealousy or whatever. I guess you might be right. But you're talking about a guy who he doesn't write the TV show. He doesn't edit the TV show. He's not the cameraman on the TV show. He doesn't do the sound design. He doesn't do any of the advertising for it. He doesn't do any of that shit. He just shows up and then is making like $100 million a year. I would love to be making $100 million a year is the point, right? For making a thing. It's like doing a pretty easy job, right? We have all these people taking care of all of the stuff and then making $100 million a year. And now the reality is maybe I'm jealous of people that make $100 million a year, but also I'm fucking super sad that I don't make $100 million a year because of the things that I would do with $100 million a year. Like, I know what I would be up to, and I know that I would be doing my fucking damnedest to help the most people out that I possibly could, right?
Yep.
As opposed to just extracting more and more and more and more wealth for myself, right? And it's also one of those things where, like, if you own a business and it's air quote valued at $1 billion, right? You go to the bank and you take out $500 million cash and you don't pay taxes on that because it's a loan, right? It's the same thing when you take out a home equity line of credit. So if you own like a $3 million house, you could take out a $500,000 equity, what is it, cash out refi for some equity out of the thing you own. And you don't have to pay taxes on it because it's not income, right? Because it's a loan. It's not income, it's a loan. But don't worry.
Right.
You're also going to be able to use the interest tax deduction, interest rate as a tax deduction, or the interest as a tax deduction, right? They use all of these things to be like, hey, look, you know, I don't really have any money. I don't really have any money, but yeah, you have access to having $500 million or $1 billion or whatever, right? It's the same thing with, like, people say like, oh, like Elon Musk doesn't actually have any money. I mean, the other day he supposedly sold Twitter to a company that he owns for an imaginary $33 billion, right?
Oh, Jesus. Yes. And yet, that's legal.
Dango Bicon says, hello, I'm Dango from the UK. I have a fish question. In your experience, what other fish can you keep with a Siamese fighting fish? Any kind of dither fish. Danios, these little guys, Endler live bearers, any kind of little dither fish will do fine with betas, for sure, 100%. Any other kind of aggressive fish will certainly dominate a beta, you know. So if you put any kind of cichlids with them, the cichlids will just annihilate the beta. But the betas can go with like a ton of different dither fish. Just any of these little guys, you know, neons, Danios, Endler's live bearers, off the cardinals, you know, whatever, any of the little fish you see at the store. Little schooling fish. That's the easy way to describe it. Because betas won't eat them, and they won't try to eat betas. Simple as that, right? But he owns the courts, so he locked up the penalty charges in court for years, so he won't pay. That's right. It's the unfortunate thing is that the way that our system works is that they always say that the court system is light on white collar crime, right? They aren't tough on white collar crime. The biggest thing with our system is it's not that our system is favorable to them. It's that our system has a favorability of exploitation from people that have access to a lot of resources, right? So you got to think, how many times do you go back to court and file a continuance because you have essentially unlimited lawyer time, right? Like you just send the lawyers, they file a continuance over some other stupid thing that they found. And because they filed that continuance, you essentially don't have to oh, I've got another month before they reschedule to come back, right? And you can just run all sorts of crazy shit like that for the longest amount of time. And eventually the court is just worn down by the fact that, like, hey, we've been trying to like convict this guy for 2 fucking years now. Let's just offer them, you know, 6 months in jail and probation for 2 years or 3 years or whatever, right? Like eventually the DA, the court, they're like, dude, we're spending so much money on this case. We just need to move on from it because they're just going to keep bringing us back in here. So it's not so much that like you get arraigned and then you come to your first court date and the court's just like, hey, we'll give you 3 months and 18 months probation. We're just offering it right away. That's not what it is. It's that they drag it out for so long, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I have personal experience with this, right? When I've had really good lawyers working on stuff that happened to me in the past, it just over and over and over again, going back. Oh, lawyer found this in discovery, doesn't like this. Oh, we have to figure out what's going on with this police officer. What was this officer up to? What kind of prejudice did that? There's just a million things that the lawyers can do. And realistically, it's because we have rights and because we have rule of law. And eventually the court will go, all right, this wasn't a violent interaction, right? Like no one's physically in danger of this person. This wasn't like an armed robbery or an assault or a molestation or whatever, right? And they'll go, okay, well, let's just offer them a deal so that we don't have to keep coming back here, right? Yeah. So how goes the artwork? Any cool stuff in the works? As far as art goes, like not really. I mean, I wish I did. I don't have any commissions right now. I don't have any, like the current projects I'm working on are a lot of woodworking projects. As my mother, Olivia's grandmother, asked when they came by yesterday, my mom said, "Are you building a farm?" and Vicky poked her head around the corner and was like, "Yes," and went back to whatever the fuck she was doing. Because we do have more chickens again.
Yeah.
We don't have more bees yet because they're not scheduled until I think next month. So I'm really hoping that when we get our next bees and I'm recording bee videos that I can start doing a bunch more of the editing on last year's bee videos and try to put those out while I'm recording the new ones. But who the fuck knows, man? I mean, that's the reality is like, Vicky was asking me last week for some tax stuff for one of our businesses. And I was like, oh yeah, when I get to the office, I'll get it to you. And today she was like, where's that tax shit? And I'm like, I have not even been in here to like sit down at the computer and like just send her tax shit from this computer to the other computer.
Wow.
So it's been very busy. I'm currently remodeling a house that is really far away. It's quite the long drive back and forth. But it's a big project. It's like, kind of a top to bottom remodel type situation. Like there is no action item on the remodel list that this house doesn't have on it. From like new bathroom to redoing the plumbing to redoing the electrical. So there's just everything. This week I'm installing the cabinets. I believe on Friday is the countertops. So the countertop sink, all that shit. What my personal opinion is that like once the countertops go in, you're kind of going downhill after that. But if I'm honest, it's not. It's just a good time to be like, look at us, we're going downhill. Even though that's not actually true. So, but yeah, there's been a ton of stuff with the house that I'm working on. I hope to be finished by the end of May so that it can get on the market, which only leaves like 3 weeks, which is pretty stressful. But we're going to probably start getting into the days here where I just, instead of driving back and forth, I'm just going to stay down there, sleep, get up, and go back to work, kind of thing.
Did you avoid the grout job?
No, the grout guy, he's not worried. He's like, we'll do that whenever. So it's like,
good.
it's fine. I have people waiting on the back burner because I'm like, look, unless you have like a shitload of money, so that I could take that and hire a sub to go work on my job while I'm up here, you just have to wait. You know, it's a big contract job. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of responsibility, and it's to get this house on the market so that the owner doesn't have to worry about it anymore. I don't flip houses. No, I personally do not flip houses. I'm not a house flipper. I am remodeling a house that the owner has owned for, I don't know, he bought it in 1999, so somebody can do that math. I don't know how to do that math. It's a lot. It's big numbers. Well, actually, I think he bought it in 98. So he had like 2 or 3 years left on the 2, 3, 4 years left on the mortgage or something like that, and he just paid it off. So he doesn't have a mortgage on it anymore, but it's like a paid off mortgage, right? So, and he has no intention on moving back to that house. So he hired me to finish that house. And then after that, he has another house up near me that's not ready to be worked on yet, but is a gigantic house. That house is like 6,800 square feet or something insane. Oh, wow. It's 4 stories.
Wow.
And then he's going to want me to start working on that house once this one sells. Because he's going to take the money from the sale of this one to fix up the other house. And nice. And buy another property. Buy another property wherever. I'm a contractor. Yes, I'm a contractor. Yes. Have I persuaded them to put an aquarium into the project? No, actually, I haven't, and I haven't even tried to do that. Selling a house with an aquarium in it is more of a project than selling a house without an aquarium in it. People don't want to take on the responsibility. Could have used you in Bothell and Camino Island. Those, I mean, Bothell is in my area enough. It's still a drive, but it's in my area enough. Camino Island's in my area also. Yeah. I mean, I don't normally drive out to Camino Island because I just don't normally do that. It's a fucking island.
Why?
It's like, you can't go through the island, you know. Actually, I wonder if you can. Isn't there a way to, like, you drive in from the top and then you can shoot out the bottom somehow? Like on the ferry or something?
Yeah. I think so. It's been a while, God.
Yeah, isn't there like a Langley ferry or some shit?
It's a little one.
No, there isn't. Okay. Oh. No, Whidbey, you can do it on Whidbey. Okay.
Yeah, Whidbey.
I thought there was a way to like go down to the bottom of Camino and then get on a boat. Isn't there a ferry that goes over to Langley? No, I guess not. I thought there was, but I was mistaken.
What we get for thinking.
But there's a ferry that goes to Hat Island. I mean, come on. You guys ever been on Hat Island?
No.
I'll tell you about it. It's fucking stupid. Don't go.
All right, well then. That was easy.
No, it's not bad. It's fun to go there, but it's mostly like golf course and like bougie hippies. You know, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Vashon.
Vashon's way more fun.
Well, yeah, opinion. The bougie hippies is what I was thinking, but okay.
Well, I'm saying, you get what I'm saying. Vashon, more fun. More funner. I was about to say, I don't think I've been to Maori Island, But I have, because Manzanita. I've gone down there. I hiked down to Manzanita down there. So I've been down there.
Little tiny island, Stillicum?
Stillicum?
The little tiny one here on this side that you have to fly or boat into, just got named the most remote, perfect place to live in the Washington state recently.
What are you talking about?
Didn't it have fire last year? The little tiny, what the hell is its name? It's a little tiny island. It's got about, I don't know, 1,000 or 150 people on it. And it just got rated as some magazine's perfect remote place to live in the lower 48.
Is it the one with Friday Harbor or whatever?
No. It's on this side.
On this side of what?
The east side of the mountains.
What island is in the east side of the mountains? It's fucking High Plains Desert.
It's in the river. I'm telling you.
What are you talking about?
I'll find it. Go on. I'm sorry.
I'm literally saying, like, what are you talking about? No, I'm just saying, like, what do you mean?
Tiny island.
I mean, I've been up
one of the rivers that you can't. There's no road to it. You have to either seaplane into it, lake plane, I guess, or boat over to it.
Are you talking about the end of Lake Chelan?
Might be. I don't remember what body of water it's in.
Stehekin, you mean?
It starts with an S.
Yeah, Stehekin?
Yes.
Stehekin's not an island.
Nope, I don't know that that's the one I'm thinking of, but hold on.
Okay. If it's Stehekin, that's not an island. That's why I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. Yeah, I get it.
Stehekin.
I know how to spell Stehekin. I've already looked at that. It's not there.
It's not Stehekin? Well, what the fuck?
It's not Stehekin.
I'm just saying, like, I've been up and down Lake Wenatchee. I've been up and down Lake Chelan a million times. I've been up and down Ross Lake. I've been up and down. I'm just like, what island? I've been up and down Priest Lake. I know that there's an island. No, that's Rocky Point Campground. I've been there. That's Gillespie Island.
Sorry, guys. This is where I inadvertently derail everything.
No, man, I like it. I like the derail. Everyone else can get fucked. We're just here trying to figure out where the fish live. Where do the fish people live? On their dad-burned island, you bastards. I know a lot about Washington State. I don't know everything. That's the crazy thing. There's like times where I'm like, I know a lot about Washington State because I'm from here and I've traveled a lot and I've been around it a lot. But then it's always amazing to me because there's always something more, you know? Yo, I know what she's talking about. Steelicum. Is this Steelicum?
Might be. No, I thought Steelicum was on the other side. Unless it's spelled. Yeah.
Best place to live. Let's find out. Steelicum, Washington, often touted as a charming and historic town, frequently recognized as a great place to live.
Ooh, thunder. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, the rain's coming down again. It got nice out for a minute, and then just don't even think about it. But my God, Friday and Saturday were beautiful. They were fucking amazing. What's that?
We're having thunder. It's pouring here, but that was the first time I've heard thunder today.
Oh, I'm saying Friday and Saturday were beautiful.
Yeah.
Today's
Lucky
Monday.
You.
Today's Monday. And then yesterday, I was basically working outside until the rain came. That was my cutoff time. My cutoff time was There's going to be 1 inch of rain today, so whenever it starts coming, that's when I'll just quit because there's no working it out. It's got to be Steelicum. It's got to be it.
All right, fine, sure. When I find the actual one, I'll send it to you.
Well, I've seen Steelicum be on a bunch of those.
Yeah, those lists.
Those lists of like, you should move here, and I'm like, no, I don't want to. I used to live near there. I moved away from there. I lived in South Tacoma, right near Steelicum. Like I could drive right over to Chambers Bay Golf Course, like minutes, if that. But I moved away from there because I don't want to live in Tacoma, and Steelicum is just Tacoma over there.
Yeah.
And I don't. People say like they want you to move there, and like one of the upsides of Steelicum is that like, well, this is the upside of why people say to move there, because the Steelicum is like 100% NIMBY, right? It's like, yeah, we want all of those great things, but not in my backyard. You know what I mean? Like, like they're not going to expand the roads. They're not going to get more dense housing. They're not going to get, like, the shit is where it is and it ain't going nowhere. So it's like, if you go there and you like it, it's like, this is how it will be in 20 years, is what they tell themselves.
Right.
Right. That's what they tell themselves. But they aren't, it ain't true. The Tacoma Mall. I did not live near I did not live close to the Tacoma Mall, but I could drive there. You know, like I couldn't walk there, but I could walk to Chambers Bay Golf Course. But I couldn't walk to the mall. It's like just at a walking range. You know what I mean? And I don't live there anymore because I didn't want to live in Tacoma anymore. The schools are not good enough. And I moved up here to work a job that I worked at the time, and I don't work for that company anymore. They got rid of me because I didn't work fast enough, and I heard that they're just opening their store, and I haven't been with that company for 1 year and 7 months. And at the time that I was let go, I had 3 weeks left to have that store be open. Yeah, I didn't work fast enough. But I think the reality is that I think it came more down to like personal stuff than anything else, because I politically did not agree with them and their takes on things and the way that they treated people and stuff like that.
And I know.
Which I will say, Exhibit A, I'm friends with all sorts of people that don't work there anymore. And management and whatnot has said not one word to me in over a year and a half. So I think like if you were to parse that out, you could kind of figure out what's going on. We've had 10 days of sunshine in most of the UK, which is unheard of normally. Lucky us. 10 days of sunshine? Whew. What are you going to do with that? You're going to be bronze soon. My God. My God. You're going to be like a fucking Greek Adonis with your bronze oiled skin glistening in the... How many days has it been? How many days in the year has it been so far? In the 10% of the days. Let's just say it's 100 days-ish in the year.
I guess it was Stehegan.
I'm at the lollipop stage of my flu shot, but I am now 17 minutes behind the stream. What the fuck?
That means he got his shot and they gave him his lollipop. What color did you get?
Oh, he's at the lollipop stage of his flu shot. Oh, okay, I got it. I got it. And you had to explain that to me.
That's kind of sad, but I love you.
I'm fucking stupid. I told you that before. I'll tell you again.
Nope, don't believe it.
I'm stupid with some things, for sure. Somebody will be like, hey, we got to do surgery on this rocket. And I'd be like, sir, excuse me, I am no rocket surgeon. Smoke a pipe. You know, if it wouldn't make me like immediately go back to smoking cigarettes, it would be dope to smoke a pipe. You know?
Yeah.
It would be dope, dude. It would be dope, but I would immediately pick up cigarettes again. I mean, I still chew nicotine gum, you know?
Excessively.
Because I love the nicotine. I love the nicotine, and the nicotine's not bad for you, and I even talked to my doctor about it last week. And they were like, do you use chewing tobacco? I was like, no. And they're like, do you vape? And I was like, no. And they're like, do you smoke cigarettes or cigars or anything like that? And I was like, no. And I was like, I chew the nicotine gum. And he goes, we don't care about that at all. I was like, okay.
Awesome.
And then we had a longer discussion, which I'm not going to give you guys, but the reality is that it boiled down to, he was like, don't fucking worry about it. He's like, the biggest downside you're going to have to deal with is occasional diarrhea. And I was like, well, sometimes I like to poop real fast. So put that in your pipe and smoke it there, Chief. And he was like, I don't do that. I don't put things in my pipe and smoke them. That's bad for you. I'm a doctor. And I was like, oh, you're right. I said, put that in your pole and smoke it. Ha ha ha! Got him. We had the same name, so it was a little kismet. A little kismet right out the gate. He was like, hey, you know what? My name's Joel, too. It'll be easy to remember. And I said, it will be easy to remember. And I called Big Spoon. I suppose I could just Google it, which I will later. What the fuck? No, we're going to go back in the chat here and figure it out. Wait, I desperately needed to know if what Kiwis call a lollipop is the same as what Americans call a lollipop. I think it is. I think this is one of those things that was invented in the United States and then just exported, which, you know, if you guys want to start talking about exports, let's do it. What do Kiwis call a lollipop?
It's not it.
Lolly is a New Zealand word for a confectionery. British people use sweet and Americans candy. Australians also use lolly. It comes from the older British word lollipop. Fuck! It's Brits. The Brits. You fucking sons of bitches. It was the British. God damn it.
You can't have it all.
I thought it was American. I was wrong. You figure sugar on a stick. That's distinctly
pretty American.
It's distinctly American. It turns out the Brits had something to do with it. The bongers had something to do with it.
That was cotton candy. We refined sugar on a stick to literally sugar on a stick.
We fluffed it. We like fluffing out here in the old US of A. You know what I mean? If you know what I'm talking about.
For all.
Fluffing for everyone. You gotta fluff up your hang down, otherwise she'll go, oh, he's a grower, not a shower, right?
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
You do.
Porn, the only industry that will still be able to export without a problem.
It's being banned in a lot of states, so I'm sure it is a problem. People are having to buy VPNs. People are having to buy VPNs so they could watch moving pictures of people's genitals touching each other.
Yep.
That's at least raising your taxes, isn't it?
It's raising something, but I'm ching.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, if you got to buy a VPN so you could watch, you're an adult and you want to watch two adults do stuff without their clothes on, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how much I got to describe it for you, you know.
No,
but
I've been there, done that.
No, I'm just saying, for you, the audience, you know.
Oh.
Not you. You have a kid. I
They've
know
been
you know
there
how
and
to
done
do it.
that too.
You have a
They've
kid.
been there. Done
You have a kid. We have evidence. Okay?
that. Sad but true.
That's right. And we know that Vicky has a
No,
kid.
no unicorns for me.
We know that at least Vicky has a kid. I saw it come out of her body.
Well, so that means that you two know. See, they're
Well, I'm
smart.
saying that we at least know that Vicky knows how to do it. Still questionable if I know how to do it or not. Although it's not really a big question that Olivia's my daughter at this point. It's kind of like, yeah.
No, she looks. Yeah. She very much looks like both of you.
She's way prettier than I am, so, you know, we're on the up and up, is what I'm saying.
This is how you do it.
Still questionable if she's smarter than me just yet. She's still only 6, okay? She's got to be at least 12 before she's smarter than me.
Has the sarcasm switch been flicked? That's always the problem. Mine was 4 when we realized that she was indeed hip to the sarcasm. Not great with it yet, but she knew where she was going.
You can talk about lollipops, but nowadays it might cost you 20% extra. That's right. That's right. Lollipop was the name of a music festival here 20 to 25 years ago. The only time I got to see David Bowie. Ah, man. That's... I would love to see Ziggy Stardust. It's shit like that a time machine would be dope. You know, everybody wants a time machine so that they could go back and invest in NVIDIA or IBM or whatever. That's not... I wouldn't want that time machine. I want the time machine where I can just go back and see, like, you know, the concerts that happened and... yeah, I just guess concerts, maybe. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I was going to think of some other stuff, but then I'm like, I don't want to see old war events. That would be stupid. I don't want to see the Great Depression. But I do want to see concerts that happened. That would be cool. But not on that list is Woodstock. I wouldn't want to go back and see Woodstock.
Sounded like a mess.
What's that?
It just sounded like a mess. If I could watch it from the stage area, maybe, like one of the bands fly in, see the bands I want to see fly out.
Yeah, it just seemed like a big mess. A lot of doo-doo water. I guess I'll put it that way. A lot of doo-doo water all over the place.
Shit, I'm in Peru. No, it's Woodstock. Damn.
Well, same difference. I like it. That's not a tax. That's a fee. Completely different. Yeah.
Right, how dare you? So Netanyahu said that they're going to remove all the tariffs for the Israeli side.
What, from Israel to the U.S.?
Mm-hmm.
Why, so we can buy more, like, weapons systems software from them?
So we don't tax them at whatever rate we were going, 10%? Or were they 20? I couldn't remember if they were one of the raised.
Well, supposedly the idea is that, like, we put all these crazy tariffs on everybody, and then they'll just drop their tariffs.
Mm-hmm. That's
the idea, which is...
That's the idea.
I mean, just playing Russian roulette with 5 in the chamber, you know? Like, what are you doing? This is when you just end up committing suicide, and people are like, do you think he was playing Russian roulette? And it's like, no, he had all the bullets in there. What are you talking about? He just put a gun in his mouth, you know?
Yep.
That's a question. Do you favor the Russian roulette to the temple or in the mouth? What do you think? What do you think's more... Which one do you think's more intense?
The mouth one, I think, is more intense.
The mouth one's more intense?
Yeah, because...
Ooh, because, like, if you're playing with multiple people, right?
Yeah.
And they put it in their mouth, you could get some kind of sickness from them.
Yeah. It's long-term Russian roulette. It's like double Russian roulette.
You could get what is that? HPV. You could get.
I didn't die, but I've got this lovely canker sore.
I didn't die, but I've got it.
And my girlfriend's driving.
Sarah Baker says not going to happen. It's forcing us in Canada to negotiate better trade deals with Europe and Mexico that we should have had years ago. Yeah, I mean, all it's going to do is just force everybody to just start trading in other directions. You know, it's not going to bring jobs back to the United States. It's fundamentally a fucked train of thought that, like, oh, they're going to build new warehouses to manufacture things here. Like, okay, well, let's say if they do that, first off, how long does it take? Even if you had every permit to break ground and build some kind of manufacturing plant, like what's the fastest you could finish a warehouse like that?
4 or 5 years.
6 months? A year? I mean, we have like a manufacturing thing going in up the road here, and they started it last year. And there's been like zero obstruction from the city. Like they've not had to make any reapplications or modifications or anything like that. And that project's not even done. And it's like they're going to be building truck trailers, like semi trailers. And they're like, oh, it's going to bring jobs to the area. And somebody locally was like, how many people are they going to hire? And it turns out it's 6. You're like, what the fuck, man? Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, great, 6 jobs. Amazing. So we should probably really take those guys into consideration when it comes to, like, cutting them huge, gigantic tax breaks and shit. For sure, right? For the 6 people that are going to work here.
Yeah.
That are going to work there.
They're really...
I mean, the grocery store employs, what, 200 people?
Right.
You know? And you're like, well, maybe we should listen to the grocery store more because they have a whole bunch of different staffs. And they're all union, too, by the way.
I have a friend that I had to convince that Musk isn't firing all these people so he can rehire them. He doesn't want to rehire all these federal workers.
I would argue
use AI.
I would argue that the USA did it to China back in the 70s and 80s. I would argue that that's inaccurate because the United States were consistently giving most favored nation status to China. What years was that? Most favored. We gotta find the. United States, where is the list? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. The designation was changed from most favored nation to normal trade relations by Section 5003 of the Internal Revenue Service Restructuring and Reform Act of 1998. So what they were doing before that was they were giving most favored nation status. Each member country has indicated the same services in its scheduled services as notified to the World Trade Organization, which was... The U.S. was extending most favored nation status to China over and over and over again. And which years was it? Hold on, we gotta find it. Status years, USA. Oops. Yeah, 1980 till 1999. Here it is. From 1980 to 1999, China was granted most favored nation status through presidential proclamation on an annual basis because of the Trade Act of 1974, stated that most favored nation status may not be conferred on a country with a non-market economy if that country maintains restrictive immigration policies. China was and still is a non-market economy and restricted immigration, but the act allowed the president to waive this prohibition on an annual basis if he certified that granting most favored nation status would promote freedom of emigration in that country, right? This is the shit right here that you're talking about, which previous to that, we had basically forced through that you can't get most favored nation status if you have all this bullshit going on in your country. The easy way to explain this would be if you have human rights violations happening in your country, you wouldn't get most favored nation status. If you got most favored nation status, strangely enough, it basically dropped all the tariffs and shit back and forth, right? And the United States just kept giving it to China, no matter how much we protested it, over and 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 over throughout the late 70s all the way to the year 2000.
Yep.
And it just essentially never ended. And one of the big things that they've been trying to argue against China with is that, hey, you guys are taking our intellectual property and then just making your own shit. And they're like, yeah, but you're the ones that like allowed us to do that in the first place, right? And you're like, yeah, but stop doing it. They're like, no. And you're like, well, go fuck your mother, kind of situation. And it's not for the betterment, right? And now the idea in the United States, actually, not the idea, the false bill of goods that was sold to Americans in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s was, hey, if we offshore all of these jobs, if we allow the large sums of investment capital from the United States to go outside the border and essentially create jobs for fucking slave labor in other countries, that the United States would be investing in essentially America becoming the white-collar capital of the world, right? That's why throughout the entirety of my childhood growing up, they were like, you have to go to college, you have to get a 4-year degree, or you'll be a total piece of shit for the rest of your life. I mean, that's basically the way that they always put it. In hindsight, it would have been best for me to get a 4-year degree because I would have been able to specialize in something that I may or may not have been interested in. If people want to know my life story earlier in the stream today, at some point in time, maybe I'll make a cohesive video. But needless to say, when I was in college, my ability to run a kitchen was much more profitable than spending money on school. And I couldn't afford to try to do both. And I was really good at this one thing, and nobody there wanted me to have a 4-year degree, mainly because the restaurant industry wants to be able to pay you as little as they possibly can for you to do the most amount of work that they can get out of you, which is generally the American dream, right? If you're a businessman in America, you get all these workers and pay them the least amount and have them work until they get the black lung and they have a little protest, and you hire American police officers to just shoot them when they protest. That's the American dream, right? And so I was doing that, and I never did get my 4-year degree, and I probably should have in hindsight, because it would be much easier for me to apply for jobs that don't physically destroy my body at this decrepit old age that I'm about to get another number added to here fairly soon. Now, frankly, I'm just going to keep working because I like working, and I like doing physical stuff. I also like doing mental stuff too, right?
Over in the base.
Yeah, and but I did ended up being a chef for a really long time, running a bunch of restaurants and blah 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 and all that kind of shit. Um, but the reality is that like I don't mind doing the physical labor, but I would also like to have benefits, have a retirement, have a pension, have health insurance, right? Have health care, all that kind of stuff. And most of the jobs where you're physically working don't provide those things in the United States because of that period of time in the United States where they got rid of our pensions. They got rid of health care. They broke unions, okay? And I've talked to people about this, and they're like, they weren't breaking unions. People just left because the private sector does it better, right? And you're like, this is absolute horseshit. Pensions existed. Companies found a way to influence the American public to start getting rid of pensions. And that was through the other actor president known as Ronald Reagan, who spent an immense amount of time convincing people that investing in the market is the way that your retirement should exist. Previous to that, if you had interviewed anybody from 1975, for instance, if you had a time machine and went back and asked them about the 401k or the Dow Jones Industrial fucking what is it? Dow Jones Industrial
Average. No,
average, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. The fucking stock market. Nobody would have known about it. They would have been like, no, the companies have pensions. That's how you retire. And if you don't have anything like that, you get Social Security, right? Yep. Crazy enough, if you had a pension, you still got Social Security.
Yep.
And a lot of stuff was irreparably broken, dismantled, discouraged when I was a child. I'm about to be 45 years old. And that dates me, right? That I grew up during the 80s, but I was a kid, right? Couldn't vote. Wasn't allowed to vote. Was too young. Was too much of a child. And that stuff has happened in my lifetime, okay? All of this stuff has happened in my lifetime. D-Rock says, I'm finally here. I missed my like-minded fishy friends. What's up, D-Rock? How you doing, buddy? I was just talking to one of my youthful coworkers who is in college right now about when I graduated from college and how I should probably have done computer science instead of computer animation. Yeah, I mean, probably, I guess. I was running late because of physical labor, trimming trees with all those benefits. So lucky I got a government job getting dirty playing with plants. That's right. That's a good gig, man. I can't fault you for that. Aerosmith, Black Crowes, Lenny Kravitz. Those were fun times. I've seen Aerosmith and Lenny Kravitz. I don't think I've ever seen the Black Crowes live.
I don't know that I'd want to go now. I would have liked to have seen them in their heyday.
Yeah, in the heyday with the time machine thing.
Yep.
Tango Boycott in the 80s and 90s was peak for me when it came to music. I saw Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Skid Row, and many more back then. Yeah, I saw Guns N' Roses. I've seen Metallica too. Not too impressed by either of them, personally. But that's me.
Okay.
Jay's Crazy Obsession. What's up, you fish freaks? Just chilling. It's Monday. Started raining a bunch. I thought I was going to do some work after stream outside, and I can hear the volume of water coming down is what we were waiting. This is what we were waiting for. It's another fucking deluge. I mean, I can hear it going down the pipe over there, which means there's a lot of it.
Yeah. I'm starting to see green, though, so I'm excited.
Mickham says, I did my mandatory military guarding guarding the UN hospital, being sent to Kuwait in 1990 when other youth educated themselves. Having traditional parents isn't always a positive thing. Let's end it there. I would never fault anybody for having done their sort
Military.
of mandatory military service, right? I do know that there's different options of what you can do for your mandatory military service. It's a different amount of years in every country. I personally think that we should bring back, and I've talked about this numerous times, and people get when I talk about this on stream, people just start pissing their pants and crying in Republican or whatever. I believe that we should bring back the Conservation Corps. I've talked about it numerous times on stream. The Conservation Corps would be, if I was to be president tomorrow, one of the things I would bring back would be the Conservation Corps. I would expand the post office. I've talked about this. My electrical is flickering, which is always a little freaky since I'm currently in the basement. Are you scared? Are you scared of zombies? Or are you scared of ghosts? Not now. You work for a couple of years and you start looking for the next best paying job, regardless of how good the job was, just more money. Yeah, that's the. I mean, that's the reality now. The job market is basically that way now. Nowadays the job market is you work somewhere for a couple of years, you get headhunted by somebody that promises you the world, but it's the same. It's most likely the same environment, but you probably end up just making initially more money than you were at the other job. But if you stay there too long, the new hires start making more than you when they get hired, is the reality of America now. That's modern day corporate, what do you call it? Corporate styling, I guess. I don't know. Corporate policy. It's like, oh shit, we need to pay more to get more applicants because we don't really know how to run our business very well, and we can't keep people here long term. So we have to offer more to get trainees that we have to train and spend all this money on training, but we can't retain any of our workers. D-Rock says punk rocker, but I'd say some of my favorite big non-punk shows were Prince, Bob Seger, Kiss. Punk favorites: X, Dead Kennedys, Subhumans, Good Times. Yeah, I've never seen Bob Seger. I saw Kiss somewhere. Prince was amazing. I've seen Prince live. I've seen the Dead Kennedys. I've seen the Subhumans. Descendants, Circle Jerks. I mean, that list goes on. Punk bands, I've seen a lot.
Yeah. So I took a Gallup poll recently about the military. And was embarrassed that I could answer none of the questions as related to the Space Force.
Oh, the Space Force is a mystery. I mean, it really is. I mean, they have a long-standing thing. Is that Rachel O'Leary on the other line? Fuck no. Fucking can't stand her. She can't stand me either. We've had altercations, so the feeling is mutual. We have Witchy Cat. Witchy Cat's on the line.
I'm just some chick.
Can someone educate me on what the Conservation Corps is? Yes, fuck yeah, we can. We can go over it because I love the Conservation Corps.
Go,
Joel. Bring it back. If we could bring it back, we would. Oh wait, I wonder if I have.
You have a short explaining it.
Do I?
Yes, from your Arizona trip.
Do I have a short? I don't know. We're not going to do that. No, I was going to say I think I have the logo in here still. Let me see. Fuck yeah, I do. I have it in my preset. Boom! And it did not appear because it's behind. I have to move it up to the top. There we go. Fuck yeah, the United States Civilian Conservation Corps. All right, we're going to go over it because we fucking love this shit. I don't want to misquote anything, so I'm going to look it up. God.
Hope this lightning isn't starting fires.
There it is. All right, here we go. The Civilian Conservation Corps of America. Fuck yeah.
America!
As part of the New Deal program to help lift the United States out of the Great Depression, Franklin D. Roosevelt established the Civilian Conservation Corps in 1933. The CCC, or Cs as it was sometimes known, allowed single men between the ages of 18 and 25 to enlist in work programs to improve America's public lands, forests, and parks. And by the way, these are all the shits that you visit now? You fucking go to these places. You go to goddamn Yellowstone. Guess who fucking built all that shit?
I bet it was the Conservation Corps.
These bunch of fat-dicked Americans went out there and cut down trees and built buildings, and we still go there.
Intriguing description. Go on.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Well, they're only men. It's 18 to 25, right? They're fully turgid. Yeah, the CCC was designed to supply jobs for young men and to relieve families who had difficulty finding jobs during the Great Depression in the United States. There was eventually a smaller counterpart program for unemployed women called the She camps, which were championed by Eleanor Roosevelt.
That does not.
The American public
good.
made the Conservation Corps the most popular of all the New Deal programs. Sources written at the time claimed an individual's enrollment in the CCC led to an improved physical condition, heightened morale, and increased employability. The CCC also led to greater public awareness and appreciation of the outdoors and the nation's natural resources, and the continued need for a carefully planned, comprehensive national program for the protection and development of natural resources. The CCC operated separate programs for veterans and Native Americans. Approximately 15,000 Native Americans took part in the program, helping them weather the Great Depression. As governor of New York, Franklin D. Roosevelt had run a similar program on a much smaller scale known as the Temporary Emergency Relief Administration, otherwise known as TERA. It was started in early 1932 to use men from the lists of the unemployed to improve our existing reforestation areas. In its first year alone, more than 25,000 unemployed New Yorkers were active in its paid conservation work. Long interested in conservation, as President Roosevelt proposed a full-scale national program to Congress March 21st, 1933. We got to go down here. Okay, here we go. The typical CCC enrollee was a U.S. citizen, unmarried, unemployed male, 18 to 25 years of age. Normally, his family was on local relief, which means you had some form of welfare, right?
Yep.
Each enrollee volunteered, and upon passing a physical exam and or a period of conditioning, which meant if you were fucking lazy turd that couldn't do anything, they would make you do calisthenics until you were strong enough to fucking lift your fat dick up off the ground. Each enrollee, where was it? They were required to serve a minimum 6-month period with the option to serve as many as 4 periods or up to 2 years if employment outside the Corps was not possible. Enrollees worked 40 hours per week over 5 days, sometimes including Saturdays if poor weather dictated. In return, they received $30 per month, the equivalent to $730 in 2024. With a compulsory allotment of $25, about the equivalent of $610 in 2024 money, sent to a family dependent, as well as housing, food, clothing, and medical care. Following the second, here we go. Each CCC camp was located in the area of particular conservation work to be performed, and organized around a complement of up to 200 civilian enrollees in designated numbers company unit. The CCC camp was a temporary community in itself, structured to have barracks, initially army tents, for 50 enrollees each, officer technical staff quarters, medical dispensary, mess hall, recreation hall, educational building, lavatory and showers, technical administrative offices, tool room, blacksmith shop, and motor pool garages. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Approximately 55% of the enrollees were from rural communities, a majority of which were non-farm. 45% came from urban areas. The level of education for the enrollee averaged 3% illiterate, 38% had less than 8 years of school, 48% did not complete high school, and 11% were high school graduates. At the time of entry, 70% of enrollees were malnourished and poorly clothed. Few had work experience beyond occasional odd jobs. Peace was maintained by the threat of a dishonorable discharge. This is a training station. We're going to leave morally and physically fit to lick the old man depression, boasted the newsletter Happy Days of a North Carolina camp. All right, here we go. Responding to public demand to alleviate unemployment, Congress approved the Emergency Relief Appropriation Act of 1935 on April 8th, 1935, which is fucking tomorrow will be the anniversary, the 90-year anniversary will be tomorrow, which included continued funding for the CCC program through March 31st, 1937, which is crazy. My grandma, she still remembers this shit because she's that fucking old. Enrollment peaked at 505,782 in about 2,900 camps by August 31st, 1935, followed by a reduction to 350,000 enrollees in 2,000 camps by June 30th, 1936. During this period, the public response to the Conservation Corps program was overwhelmingly popular. A Gallup poll of April 18th, 1936 asked, "Are you in favor of the CCC camps?" 82% of respondents said yes, including 92% of Democrats and 67% of Republicans. As we've talked before, the political parties have changed, so don't think that it's the Democrats of today or the Democrats or the Republicans of today. These are different groups of people. On June 28th, 1937, the Civilian Conservation Corps was legally established and transferred from its original designation as the Emergency Conservation Work Program. Funding was extended for only 3 more years by Public Law number 163 in the 75th Congress. Congress changed the age limits to 17 to 23. And so after those 3 years, we go into 1939, 1940. In 1939, Congress ended the independent status of the Conservation Corps, transferring it to the control of the Federal Security Agency. By 1940, the CCC was no longer wholly a relief agency. It was rapidly losing its non-military character, and it was becoming a system for work training as its ranks had become increasingly younger and inexperienced. The decline and disbandment, 1941 and 1942, as you can expect from knowing just the tiniest amount of American history. Something happened in 1941, 1942. What was it? World War II. All this shit essentially just went into the war effort. And they just said, fuck it, we're not going to do that anymore. We've given up doing it. But something to remember from World War II and the Conservation Corps, the Civilian Conservation Corps, is that some of the former CCC sites in good condition were reactivated from 1941 to 1947 as civilian public service camps where conscientious objectors performed work of national importance as an alternative to military service. Other camps were used to hold Japanese, German, and Italian Americans interned under the Western Defense's command of enemy alien control program. So you guys can understand how people maybe right after this whole 1947 debacle said, shit, we can't do the Conservation Corps anymore because they use those as internment camps for people that happen to be fucking Japanese Americans, German Americans, and Italian Americans. Now, while I fully understand that the Americans would be pissed that there were internment camps and that, like, maybe we shouldn't fucking do that anymore because we sort of had these internment camps and then they used them as internment camps, right? I can understand why people would be upset at the time. But I wholeheartedly believe 100% that we should bring the Conservation Corps back. Now, my reasoning for this, I shall break it down. If you watch Fox News, there'll be a dipshit that goes on there named Mike Rowe, who people that watch my live stream know that I have many problems with this character actor who is on TV constantly telling people to sign up for these fucking technical training schools and shit that you have to pay to go to, which I think is facetly un-American. If we're going to have people doing blue-collar work, the worst thing that you could do is charge them up to $8,000 or $16,000 for a year of technical training, when, by the way, you should be paying those people to do that, to do and get trained for that stuff, right? Because in American history, we had the Conservation Corps where we taught over 500,000 people at the top enrollment. And, by the way, the population was much smaller than it was now, or than it is now. We were teaching 500,000 people and paying them. Not only we were paying for their housing, we were paying for their food, we were paying for their entertainment, and we also paid them for their labor, and they worked, what? A 40-hour work week, right? And I think that we should 100% bring this program back, because allowing these private companies to extract money from the average, like, 17 to 25-year-old youth people that don't understand how to use a drill or a hammer or understand what it is to cut, like, I need to cut stair stringers. Okay, we're going to learn how to do it today. But you're going to pay somebody to learn how to do that? That's fucking crazy, right? Because, by the way, once you get out of that technical school, now you have to go into, guess what? You got to go into a fucking, what is it? Say it with me. A what?
Union.
No, apprenticeship. You have to become an apprentice for up to fucking 5 years, depending on which trade you decide to go into, where you're going to be paid bottom dollar to dig holes and shit like that, and carry stuff around like a monkey. And you're not even going to be limited to the 40 hours a week because, by the way, you're a big bitch if you only work 40 hours a week. You're supposed to be there. You're supposed to dedicate 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week to your fucking blue-collar labor job. Otherwise, you're a bitch, and you'll never get promoted. It's never going to happen, right? So I fully believe that we should bring the Conservation Corps back so that we could do things like train people how to work on road projects, train people how to work on become linemen, because we need to expand our energy delivery system in the United States. Our electrical grid, people constantly talk about it. The electrical grid's not good enough for the future. How are you going to fucking fill up your car with electricity if we can't even send the electricity around, right? Okay. We need plenty of people to fill these jobs. And yet we have a private fucking company, private companies fucking benefiting off of this shit. It's insane, right? Just try to tell me that your 4-year degree from a publicly funded school or a privately funded school. Tell me which one is better. You go like, yeah, but I went to an Ivy League school. Was the education better or were the connections better at the Ivy League school? That's really what people are paying for at Ivy League, is just connections to other fucking rich cunts, right? And they're not learning or teaching or anything more than the public schools are. But we need a rapid fucking realignment back to actual American values in this country. In my opinion, that's my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, what I want you to do is get out a piece of paper and I want you to write down on it, I don't like this guy's opinion. Then what I want you to do is to crumple it up into a ball and throw it in the trash can and go back to doing whatever the fuck it was you were doing before you gave a shit about my opinion or not.
That's probably more effort than they would have put in it without that request.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh.
Apprentice. Where have I heard that word before? Where have you? The Apprentice. From that TV guy. It's the other TV president.
The orange
who actively worries about ratings. Like, you can't tell me this is a serious person. You can't tell me this is a serious person that's actually like paying attention to anything, right? You can't tell me that that is a serious person that actually fucking thinks about anything other than his own fucking cheeseburger wants and shit, right? He's like, the ratings were good on my press conference. What?
Yeah.
The ratings? People were tuning in because they didn't want to die from a fucking virus. What the fuck are you talking about, ratings? God damn. Not a serious person, you know?
Some shit's here.
Oh, shit, what's going on? Do we have somebody join in? Oh, my God, fucking Zip's here.
Zippity-doo-dah!
Hey.
Zip, what are you doing, buddy?
Not a whole lot. I was just going to comment on you're talking about the Ivy League school.
Yeah.
I just heard a comedian talk about who went to Harvard. And he said there's kind of two different levels. You got your regular, school. Then you've got your school for dipshits, which is what the, the elite send their children that aren't very good, so they can get their Ivy League education. And then on the cutting edge, you have like a third level, and that's the geniuses, and they're apart from everybody else.
Right. No, I get it. I mean, it's like my buddy Paul. He's like a physics savant guy, right? And initially, he had a physics degree of some kind, and I don't want to quote exactly like what his degrees are because I will be wrong, but they're physics shit, astrophysics and molecules colliding into shit. Like, he worked at the Hadron Collider, right? And he had initially gone to Brown, right, and got a degree there, and then he went to where did he go after that? He went to MIT and got an air quote degree, right? So what happens in these big schools like that is that you do what's considered an audit, right? So you just go to the classes. So Paul would just go to the classes, and all the professors there would recognize that Paul had done the work. He'd come to the classes, and he knew what the fuck was going on. So when it came down to it, when he came to get like hired somewhere, it's just like, oh, just call these professors that basically vouch that I know what's going on, or they have him like sign a thing, or write him like a base letter that says, like a cover letter from this doctor at MIT or whatever. Yeah. And he had done that at another school too, like MIT. It was Harvard, Harvard, whatever the fuck. I don't know. It's all these whack schools I've never been to. But he had done that multiple times. And so, like, whenever he went somewhere, like, people just recognized, like, oh, that's Paul. He knows what's going on, kind of thing. It's like, so he doesn't actually have those extra degrees, but they consider him to have those degrees when it comes to, like, the professional field. And to me, it's the same thing with the Ivy League schools, is that, like, you a rich fuck, you send your rich kid, your rich kid there, which, by the way, all the rich people are sending their kids to these schools for a reason, right? Not only is it that it's certainly the educational side, but those classes aren't any better or worse than, like, I was about to use Alabama as an example, but it's a bad example. Let's just say you went to Oregon, right? Like, state school, right? Like, sure. Those classes aren't going to be vastly different when it comes to like economics 200 or whatever, right? It's going to be essentially the same class. Just the big difference is that you're going to have connections with super rich people.
Well, that's for most people, but what's crazy about these schools is for the super rich kids, a lot of them get dumber classes because the institution wants their parents' money. And they already have the connections. So they get to go do these special studies where basically they go to a country and, hang out at the beach, but they get credit for it and bullshit like that.
Right.
but the poor kids actually have to do the work, and they get a good education. But you're right, it's not necessarily better than where they could get somewhere else. They just get the brand name, and then they also have that third tier of the super geniuses that they're doing their own thing, and they're away from everybody else.
Well, yeah, that was like the thing with Paul, is that like he was going to those schools, but he wasn't paying to go there. He was just going there, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, what are those guys doing? Oh, they're working on some kind of crazy project. Like he always had these like wild notebooks with him, with like the crazy shit that he was working on. Some like 60-page like mathematical problem that he was working on, right? And you're like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. I don't even know what half these symbols are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I just think it's crazy just how, it mirrors our society. Hey, they're supposedly the elite, and it's like, no, they just have fucking money, and the majority of the people, they're doing the work, and then there's also a few really talented people. They're kind of off to the side and doing their own thing, but the rich people, half their kids are idiots, and they have to take these classes that they'll get a good grade with, kind of like the old stereotype of geology for the football players. We rocks for jocks, something super easy, so they can get a passing grade.
Right.
But this is for rich people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's like one of those weird situations that like all the average fucking normie dickheads like myself, right? Like we don't know because we're not exposed to, it's like, well, when we're kids, we're not exposed to what it's like for the rich kids. You know what I mean? When it comes to like private tutoring or getting passes because your dad's a big deal for something, right?
Right.
When it comes to like getting suspended because you get in trouble at school, and it's like, well, but your dad sponsored the fucking whatever track meet or something, whatever event, and it's like, maybe you won't be suspended from school, or we'll just take this off your record, or getting like SAT tutors, right? Getting tutored for how to take the SATs versus the poor kids that are trying to learn everything in hopes that like when it comes to the SAT, they'll be able to remember all of this shit, and all that stuff like compounds. And then by the time you get to college, like a good buddy of mine, he's a great guy, and I wouldn't call him a rich kid, but he basically like got his way into the rich kid path because he was a AAA baseball player, like college baseball player. Like when he got done with college, when he got done with college, he played AAA for a year just because he was like, yeah, I'll go do that. Like I'm good enough to go do that, right? So when he was in college, he was like, oh wow, we really need this guy to play baseball, right? Well, he went to college for 4 years, and like he just ended up with a poli-sci degree because like he just had enough credits for a poli-sci degree. It wasn't like he went to school for political science. It just turned out that after 4 years, he had enough credits for a poli-sci degree. So they were like, yeah, you could just apply it towards this. And so it's like, well, if I have a poli-sci degree, then what do I do? And they're like, well, then you just go to this law school. Right. And it's like, right. we know the guy, you'll just get in. Right. And so then he just went to law school, right? Didn't even apply, basically, kind of thing. Right. And
it's like,
and the next thing you know, it's like, as an average person, you'll meet up with somebody and be like, oh, this guy's 26 and he's a lawyer now, right? And you go like, oh, I gotta dig some footers this weekend for a foundation because it's gonna be sunny out instead of raining. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're talking to a guy who's like, well, I just traded in my Lexus for a fucking 7 Series BMW, you know, and you're like, okay, all right, I'm gonna go back to digging holes. I'll see you later, you know,
Digging holes.
you know, kind of
Right.
shit. And then people go like, are you jealous of that guy? Right? And you're like, yeah, it would have been really nice if doors were just like, it's not even that like doors were opened for you. It's that the doors were just open and it was like, hey, can you walk through them? You know, can you just
Right.
go there? You know, and then it's like, you know, and then you talk to somebody like that and you'd be like, well, how did you, like, fuck, man, like, how did you pay rent? You know, like, how did you pay rent all through college? And it's like, oh, I don't know, it was just paid for. Right? And
Yeah.
you're like,
Part of my scholarship.
oh, you spent like 6 years in college and didn't even have to pay rent? And it was like, I'm worried about like buying my own groceries. You know what I mean? like I might actually starve to death. So I just keep working at this restaurant because like I get free food from there, you know?
Right. Right.
But you know, it is what it is, you know, and I think realistically when it boils down to it, it's like Ivy League schools and shit. Like that's the whole, just like, it's just a networking. It's just a networking thing more than anything. Did Zip Gun get a new microphone? He sounds great today. Did you get a new microphone, Zip?
No. But I did mount it differently, so that's probably it.
You're just more professional. It's fine. It's Monday. You're more professional on Monday. You know. Oh, there's the bird.
There's the bird.
Yeah. I love the random bird sounds. Mickham says, over here, every student gets a sum of money, which gets into the hands of the school chosen. So basically, our new schools is taking our tax money funded for studies, putting it in their own pockets. Surprise, surprise, DJT loved that version of school. Yeah, the vouchers, what's her name?
Boss.
Yeah, Betsy DeVos. Betsy DeVos, like, I don't know, she was given DJT hand jobs behind the dumpster or something and convinced him that, like, this is the greatest thing ever. Or they're just rich people hanging out. And she's like, this is awesome. Vouchers are great. And he was just like, okay. You know, didn't even think about it. But yeah, vouchers are essentially just a way for rich people to tax the poor's more. And it's just a transfer of wealth, right? And you think about it this way. Like, private schools exist, period. End of story. They exist. You can pay for them if you have money and want to pay for them. You have that option, right? And if you're paying $50,000 a year for your kid to go to a private school, and then they take an $11,000 school voucher and give it to the private school, it's just an $11,000 price break for the person that is paying the private school. You understand? Like, this person goes from paying $50,000 a year to paying $39,000 a year because the tax money was transferred over there, and it's just a big discount for rich people to pay for, because it's a thing they were already going to pay for, and this is how much it was, right? And so the reality is, if those schools are too expensive for those customers, right, then they should compete and lower their prices, or raise their prices, or do whatever they want. But they shouldn't get our tax dollars that are appropriated for public schools. That makes no sense. Wealthy people just getting a discount on their private school that they're already paying for is fucking absurd. And even people in Texas are like, what? What are you what? You guys want to do what? Which eventually it probably will pass in Texas because most everything there is already privatized, like the fucking roads and shit. So you gotta pay tolls wherever you want to go, or you gotta drive on the shitty roads, and then you wonder why. There's shitty roads and nice roads. And meanwhile, our students' knowledge is dropping according to research. Yep. It will only go down, right?
Yeah.
Like,
especially with the end of the.
You add these private incentives to extract money for shareholders, right? What gets harmed when that happens, right? The service itself gets harmed. They don't fire the CEO. They don't fire the comptroller. They don't fire the accountants. They don't fire all those people, right? They fire all the people at the bottom, the ones that are like doing the service, right? You lose teachers. And this extends to all businesses, all the way from Boeing to Walmart to whatever business in America you want to put it on. They cut off the bottom. They don't cut off the top. All the cuts come off of the bottom from the service, right? And if you ever wanted to question what it is I'm talking about, just go look up the history of Toys R Us, and then we'll talk after that. But in the meantime, just listen to what I'm saying. The services will get cut. The amount of teachers per student will go up. The amount of students per teacher, the students will go up.
Yes.
The teachers will get paid less. The teachers will be lower quality. The teachers will, you start getting charged for lunches, which, by the way, is just patently, it's out of this world fucking stupid to me that we charge 11-year-olds for their school lunch. We charge them money. Like in America, we have an expectation that a 9-year-old will have money to pay for lunch at public school, right?
And all the programs will get cut. No
Which
music.
is crazy, because if you have a 9-year-old, I would like you to just walk over to your 9-year-old, 8-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and just require them to pay for dinner tonight.
Yep.
Right? Like, hey, I need $3 for dinner. Oh, child, you don't have money for dinner? I'm sorry. You won't be having dinner tonight because it will cost you money, right?
2
like
rocks and a bubblegum wrapper won't cut it.
Yep, sorry. Too bad. No dinner for you, child, right? But somehow, for some reason, we have that expectation in the United States that a kid will just have $3 or $2.75 or whatever the fuck it is, cash to pay for lunch, right?
Yep.
Anyhow, it is 4:20, so all you people out there that smoke massive amounts of marijuana, I would like to remind you that I have shit. Where's my? I should have my calendar open if I was gonna do this, but it's 4:21 already. Where the fuck did my
Just 11.
Where's my goddamn? Oh, in my old age, I can't even find my calendar. Oh, here it is. To all you super pot smokers out there, I'd like to remind you that it has been 10 years, 10 months, 25 days, which equals 3,983 days that I've been sober. Right? So, but we'll cut the stream so that you guys can go smoke your weed, because I don't judge. Do what you got to do. But if you are being fucked with by your drinking, alcohol, heroin, whatever the fuck it is, there is a group out there. It is free. It's called Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or Marijuana Anonymous. You could go to any of those, and you could end up like a sober, clear-eyed fucking devil like me, and then just realize, holy shit, 3,983 days in a row without getting hammered, and it's totally possible, and you too could get help out there, and it's free. It's free of charge, and we'll head out for today. I will also mention there have been people out there that are like, I don't understand why you don't stream for 8 hours a day like a lot of those streamers out there that do. And I say to you, I can't afford to spend 8 hours of my day streaming to you guys unless we have people kicking in on the Patreon. If you don't know where the Patreon page is, you can find it in the comments down below, or I could actually just, I don't know, post it in the chat while I'm talking about it. You could go over to the Patreon and join up with, I don't even know how many people are here anymore, 117 people. So we should probably update that. You could do that. Just imagine. you could go over to the Patreon and you could support the channel. And hopefully someday we'd have enough money to pay for a goddamn editor to edit all this content that I film and never have time to edit. But if you don't want to go away from here, you could become a member on this channel. You don't even have to leave anywhere. You just click the become a member button wherever the fuck it is. I don't know. It's around here somewhere. And you could become a member. You could become a paying member, and then you would get access to the Discord here, where Zipgun and Witchy Cat both called in today and were on the show. And you will also get access to all of our forum pages on the Discord, where we talk about fish, we talk about sci-fi shit, we talk about music, we talk whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. We talk about whatever the fuck's going on, as long as it's reasonably safe for work. I haven't really had anybody ever really cross that line of like, here's a picture of somebody's butt or whatever. It has never happened. So, you know, it is what it is. And it's fucking Monday. I'll be back Monday next week. And it's basically my birthday next week. So happy birthday to me if I don't make it here. And I'll push this button over here. And then I'll push this button